BMW's 4 Series Coupe must face newer rivals in the mid-size sports coupe segment, but it's up for the fight, especially in this usefully revised guise. The rear-driven handling dynamics are still class-leading and have been usefully improved. Plus, they're now matched to extra technology and a more powerful road presence. Potentially, this is everything you'd want in a car of this kind.
This 4 Series Coupe builds on a familiar, basic, winning Bavarian formula. Rivals have tried to copy the front-engine, rear-wheel drive BMW layout with its near-perfect 50-50 weight distribution, but they've never quite managed to deliver a package with the same kind of involving finesse. This car shares many of its fundamentals with the Munich maker's 3 Series model, but it has a lower ride height that comes courtesy of a wider front and rear track, hunkering the body better down to the road and lowering its centre of gravity. It also helps that feedback from the tactile, pleasantly chunky 3-spoke sports steering wheel is far better than you fear an electric steering system might offer, or at least it is in this revised model. Steering is one of the things that the engineers focused on most in updating this facelifted 4 Series, and their efforts seem to have paid off. Weight through the helm now building in a way that makes it easier to take every corner with just one fluid sweep of the wheel. The suspension has also been revised, the standard passive setup now firmer than before. That may increase take-up this time around of the adaptive M Sport suspension variable damping setup that we would recommend. As with the original version of this car, a drive performance control system tweaks the response from the steering, the throttle and the optional 8-speed automatic gearbox to suit the way that you want to drive. Engine-wise, most buyers choose one of the base 2-litre variants, either the 184 bhp 420i petrol model or the 190 bhp 420d diesel variant that we're trying here, and that's capable of up to 62.8 mpg and 111 grams per kilometre of CO2 in this manual guise. Both derivatives can be ordered with xDrive 4-wheel drive as an option if you want it. If you need more power, then BMW will happily oblige. Diesel folk are offered 2 6-cylinder auto-only variants, the 258 bhp 430d and the 313 bhp 435d. Petrol people get a 2-litre 430i model tuned to 252 bhp and 2 6-cylinder options, the 326 bhp 440i and the 431 bhp M4. This 2-door 4 Series has all the predictable BMW Coupe design elements we've seen so often over the years. The short overhangs, the long bonnet, the set-back passenger compartment, the shallow frameless side windows leading into the signature Hofmeister kink on each C-pillar, and a flowing roofline that offers up a low, stretched silhouette. It's a true sports car profile that's here been reinterpreted a little. You won't really appreciate just how much unless you happen to be super familiar with the original version of this car, but just in case you are, let's cover off the changes, most of which are found here at the front. Now, this unbroken central air intake is the main visual update, featuring an aperture that increases in size towards the outer edges, lending, BMW hopes, a more imposing presence to the nose section. Inside, as with obvious rivals, you're treated to one of those belt bucklers, an electrically extending arm that rather slowly hands you your belt buckle once you get in. The driving position is lower set than it would be in the kind of more ordinary 3 Series model that shares most of its engineering with this car, and you get a redesigned leather-wrapped sports steering wheel that now feels even better to hold. The level of infotainment on offer has been much upgraded in recent times, although still not to the point where this high-mounted centre-dash screen can be touch-sensitive. Standard models come with a 6.5-inch monitor, but here we've upgraded to the larger 8.8-inch display, standard with the more capable BMW Professional media package. Getting into the back is not the easiest task in the world, but it is aided by these electrically operable front seats. Once you're inside, you'll find a slightly strange combination of surprisingly decent legroom, but slightly compromised headroom. Still, assuming they're not seated behind a couple of basketball players, most adults will be fine back here on all but the longest trips. Finally, let's take a look in the boot. Once open, it reveals a large but shallow 445 litre space. If you need more room, a 60/40 split folding rear backrest is provided as standard. So, is this BMW 4 Series Coupe still the car in this class that does it all? The sector benchmark, the go-to choice in the segment? Well, if you're the kind of driving enthusiast this model has traditionally appealed to, the answer is probably yes. Can it be criticised? Well, perhaps. Some have found it a rather overly mature proposition. We think that these are people who'd probably be better suited by BMW's smaller 2 Series two-door model. What's not up for debate is that here BMW has built a benchmark contender in this class. That sounds rather clinical, doesn't it? Let's allow the Munich maker's marketing men to have the last word. This car, they say, is more than just a love letter to performance. Instead, it offers something deeper than that. The promise of a passionate affair.